Thank you for joining us today. Chamberlain has been an industry partner with the Daisy Foundation since 2014, but that doesn't quite tell the story. We are their exclusive educational partner. And why is that? It's because our missions are so well aligned. We graduate extraordinary nursing students. Daisy recognizes nurses who are extraordinary and who demonstrate what we would call Chamberlain care. In 2014, Daisy recognized the importance of faculty in this process and developed the Daisy Faculty Award. And then in 2016, they implemented what is now called the Daisy Award for Extraordinary Nursing Students. I've had the privilege of knowing and working with Bonnie and Mark Barnes for many years, starting with implementing the Daisy Award at Children's Mercy, Kansas City, where I previously worked. And I am now a member of the Daisy Foundation Board, which is truly an honor. I now want to introduce Bonnie Barnes, co-founder, CEO, and board president, and Mark Barnes, co-founder and chairman of the Daisy Foundation and Patrick's father. Bonnie and Mark are joining us here today. Bonnie, as well as Mark, are honorary fellows of the American Academy of Nursing, among many other distinctions, including being the first recipients of Chamberlain's Honorary Doctorate of Humane Letters degree. Very well deserved. Bonnie and her husband Mark started Daisy to honor nurses in memory of extraordinary nursing care given to Mark's son prior to his passing in 1999. What started as a simple idea 20 years ago has transformed how nurses are recognized worldwide. And now I'll turn it over to Bonnie.
Thank you, Dr. Cox. What an honor to be able to celebrate Daisy faculty honorees with you today, and to be able to say thank you to all of you at Chamberlain University for your tremendous partnership and friendship to all of us at the Daisy Foundation. I'd love to share why we are so passionate about the work of nursing faculty and how the Daisy Foundation got involved in the academic setting to begin with. Well, our story goes back to the very end of 1999, and perhaps you heard about our son Patrick, who died of complications of the autoimmune disease ITP. As you can see in that picture behind me on the cabinet, actually two of them, Patrick was not a little kid. He was 33 years old. He and his wife had just given us our first grandchild, and 6 weeks later he woke up with some peculiar symptoms. A blood test revealed that he had a dangerously low platelet count, and so he was admitted to the hospital with a diagnosis of the autoimmune disease ITP, something my husband Mark and I had never heard of. Well, when we heard he was in the hospital, we flew to Texas where they lived and figured we'd be there for a few days to help out with the new baby, and Patrick would be home in no time at all. But tragically, that's not at all what happened. Patrick became increasingly ill, and at the end of 8 of the worst weeks of our lives, he passed away. Well, I'm sure all of you as nurses have been around families like ours. You go through this emotional roller coaster, and suddenly it was over. Now what do we do? Well, in our case, we needed to find something positive to hold on to and take into our future, something that would help us keep Patrick's very special spirit alive and would keep us focused on the good in the world, not the tragedy we had endured over the 8 weeks prior. Well, as we thought about what positive thing we had experienced in those 8 weeks, the only thing we could think of was the care of Patrick's nurses. Yes, they were clinically excellent, just as we expected they would be, especially dealing with a very complex medical condition like Patrick had. But what we didn't expect, and what truly took our hearts, was the way his nurses delivered their care. Their compassion, their kindness, their sensitivity not only to Pat, but to all of us in our family, just filled us with gratitude, and we needed to find a way, a very meaningful way, to say thank you to nurses for not only the great big life-saving things nurses do, but the little things that make such a difference when we are in their loving hands. So we created the DAISY Foundation, which stands for Diseases Attacking the Immune System, and keeps us rooted in our experience with Patrick and his nurses. And we created this concept called the DAISY Award for Extraordinary Nurses, which would invite patients, families, and coworkers to share their stories of extraordinary compassionate care that nurses provide every day without even thinking about it, and that would then celebrate and recognize those nurses for delivering on their calling in such a special way. Well, never in our wildest dreams did we imagine that now, 21 years later, the DAISY Award would be honoring direct care nurses in almost 4,800 healthcare facilities and schools of nursing. About 156,000 nurses have received the DAISY Award so far, but most important to us, just about 2 million times a patient or a family member or a coworker has taken the time to share their story and write an award nomination, a DAISY Award nomination, explaining what a difference a nurse had made to them, explaining the impact a nurse had had on their lives. So how did we end up in schools of nursing? Well, like in everything at DAISY, there is a story. We were having a board meeting years ago, I think it was 2010. And one of our board members at the time was a dean of a school in Cincinnati. And she looked at us across the table as we were talking about where DAISY needed to go in the future. And she said to Mark and me, "You know, someone had to teach those nurses who took care of Patrick." Well, this was quite an epiphany to us. We had not thought about it, but it opened a floodgate of conversation from our other board members, most of whom were chief nurse executives, who couldn't wait to share with us how complex and important the role of a nursing faculty is. And they talked about the pressures that faculty experience, those that are working still in instructing in hospitals, those who are teaching at the academic level, just across the board, adjunct, full-time, and helped us understand that yes, we had great nurses taking care of our Patrick and of us because they had great faculty taking care of them and inspiring them to deliver the kind of care that we had experienced. So it became very clear very quickly that we needed to extend the DAISY Award to include nursing faculty and celebrate the inspiration that nursing faculty provide to the future nurses of our country. And so that's why we have a DAISY Faculty Award. And we're very, very honored to be able to share in this presentation today to celebrate those special faculty members that you heard recognized or you will hear recognized shortly. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Wow, where'd you come from, Mark? So glad you could join us.
That's the magic of video, is what does that. Well, I just wanted to add a few things. First of all, being a lot older and wiser than I once was, I agree with everything that Bonnie says.
Aww.
It works much better at home that way. But in this case, I really, really, really do. We are so honored and proud to be a partner with Chamberlain and to work with you, not only with Dr. Cox, but with all of the people that we have met at Chamberlain, and particularly the faculty. You are an incredible group of professionals, the way you prepare your students not only for careers in nursing, but to be citizens of this world. And I just cannot thank you enough for allowing us to be with you. So I would like to say, wear your pin proudly. You have now joined a very exclusive group of people throughout the world, nurses, students, faculty, who are the very best of what their profession calls for. So once again, thank you. Wear your pin proudly. You deserve it. You are an incredibly great group of people. Thank you.
So long.
Bye-bye.
Congratulations to our honorees.
It is my pleasure to introduce the DAISY Award recipients from the Pre-Licensure Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. Elizabeth Mazzo from the BSN Online. Professor Mazzo exemplifies Chamberlain care by focusing her efforts on improving teaching, learning, and assessment to help students become future extraordinary nurses. She is a natural leader and a fierce supporter of faculty and students. Her ability to leverage pedagogy and culturally responsive teaching methods to help students feel a deep sense of belonging and achieve success make her an exemplary educator. Professor Mazzo consistently uses data to inform her teaching practices and recently led a significant effort to improve outcomes through analysis and cross-curricular application of assessment outcomes data. Jonita de Valers, Addison Campus. Professor de Valers is an extraordinary nurse educator. She is a leader amongst her peers and models Chamberlain care in all her interactions with students and colleagues. The students know she genuinely cares about them, is focused on their success, and is always available. As an educator, she uses holistic interventions to help her students achieve the highest standards she sets. Her passion for nursing education is infectious. Her students state that she is a role model they want to be when they grow up. Ife Cawley from the Atlanta campus. Professor Cawley consistently demonstrates Chamberlain care for students and clinical partners. She has a positive and enthusiastic attitude about teaching and works well with partners to ensure a robust clinical experience. She is patient with students and takes time to adapt to individual learner needs. One student shared, Professor Cawley is not only a great professor, but also a great nurse. She helps to connect clinical experiences with the content that is being shared in the didactic course. Rhonda Bridget from the Charlotte campus. Professor Bridget demonstrates care for students and colleagues. She has a passion for helping and she is always available. She promotes the best learning environment and ensures there is meaning when she says no one is left behind. Students shared she is the most loving, caring, and integrity-driven professor that I have ever met, and I appreciate her for that. Professor Bridget loves her students through all of their flaws and considers them her adopted family. Kelly Ellis, the Chicago campus. Professor Ellis demonstrates care for students, and it is constantly on display. She shows enthusiasm and passion in the maternal child courses and provides a safe learning environment for students. Professor Ellis shares real-life scenarios that engage students to understand the inner workings of the hospital setting. One student shared, she gave us safe spaces to talk about our worries and gave us the confidence to know that we could be great nurses. Dr. David Zaworski from the Cleveland campus. Dr. Zaworski exemplifies the Chamberlain care values amongst his peers and those students under his tutelage every day. He showcases his compassionate nature, warmth, and humor. Dr. Zaworski's enthusiasm and positive nature provides his students a learning environment that is safe and welcoming as they grow in the foundational knowledge related to nursing practice. Students look to Professor Z throughout the program for support as he lends an ear and guides them to embrace their strengths and work toward resolving their challenges. Mallory Darrow from the Columbus campus. Professor Darrow has exemplified Chamberlain as a great academic institution and has helped us grow as students. She has always displayed compassion and understanding and serves as a knowledge resource for her students. Whether in lecture or clinical, Professor Darrow always motivates us, especially when things are difficult, and stressful. She demonstrates her love for being a nurse and for being a professor on a daily basis. Darren Christopher Tanchico from the Houston campus. Professor Tanchico is a leader among faculty in demonstrating teach and care values for students by demonstrating accountability and acceptance of all students. He uses his personal experiences to make learning relatable and encourages us to be confident in our learned skills and knowledge. Professor Tanchico pushes us to become better nursing students by challenging us to think critically and by challenging us to apply ourselves daily. Sheila Tyron from the Indianapolis campus. Professor Tyron demonstrates the teach and care values in all that she does. Many students comment on her contagious positivity and the level of comfort she provides during their first clinical experience. While making learning fun, Professor Tyron also emulates professionalism and spreads kindness throughout the classroom and clinicals by teaching students to treat their patients like family members. She truly has a huge heart and passion for nursing, which excites students to become a better nurse. She deserves a whole field of daisies. Eric Lesko from the Irving campus. Professor Lesko embodies the essence of care for his students by demonstrating that he is invested in their success. He shows he enjoys his profession, is knowledgeable, and provides guidance to students in an approachable and accessible manner. Professor Lesko makes time for students and welcomes any questions they have. With his encouragement and guidance, students know that they can count on his support throughout the program. Dr. J. Christy Beach, the Irwindale campus. Dr. Beach continuously demonstrates care for students, whether it's in a lecture, lab, clinical, or outside of the classroom. She provides a safe environment to ask questions and continues to check on students to ensure balance with learning new content and managing everyday life. Her compassion shows through the classroom, and students shared how they look forward to Dr. Beach leading clinical experiences because she offers ways to care for patients. Jennifer McHugh from the Jacksonville campus. Professor McHugh epitomizes Chamberlain care as she teaches and role models professional nursing to students. She is known for her innovative teaching methods, and her students love the stories, real-life experiences, hands-on learning she provides. Students shared, "She finds the best and most interesting ways to teach. I aspire to be like Professor McHugh when I become a nurse. Because of the foundation she has given, I will be a stronger nurse in the future." Becky Heerema from the Las Vegas campus. Professor Heerema demonstrates care for students and colleagues, and her positivity in the work and learning environment is contagious. Her friendly and approachable demeanor encourages students to seek her out for assistance in all types of matters. Her love for stimulation shows in her interactions with faculty, students, and colleagues, and with the equipment. Professor Heerema is extraordinarily patient and has such good listening skills that she can offer advice in such a manner that is so highly received. Rowena Cordova from the Miramar campus. Professor Cordova consistently demonstrates Chamberlain care for students and is invested in ensuring students demonstrate their clinical skills properly. She is patient and goes above and beyond to make sure students are comfortable with their preceptors and clinical staff. Professor Cordova has an interest in her students and their learning. One student shared, "Professor Cordova is a very caring nurse. She explains procedures thoroughly and makes it a safe learning environment. Dr. Angelique White-Williams from the New Orleans campus. Dr. White-Williams is a leader amongst her peers. She models the professional nurse and exemplifies her role as Associate Provost to her colleagues and students. Dr. White-Williams supports faculty by being a peer mentor, and she is constantly looking for ways to improve student learning and outcomes. Udina Garrett from the North Brunswick campus. Professor Garrett exemplifies the qualities of an extraordinary nursing faculty. She demonstrates Chamberlain's teach values and Chamberlain care to faculty and most of all to her students. One student shared, Professor Garrett serves as a role model for professional nursing because she embodies what it means to be an incredible nurse, leader, and human being. The student quote speaks volumes to the core of her characteristics as a professional nurse and a humanitarian. Dr. Joy Johnson from the Pearland campus. Dr. Johnson demonstrates Chamberlain care for students and showcases her passion for the nursing profession in the classroom. She is an innovative faculty member that looks for ways to make classes interactive and is committed to providing the best learning environment for students. One student shared, Dr. Johnson serves as a great role model. She carries herself with dignity and it shines through each encounter. Linda Sharp from the Phoenix campus. Professor Sharp demonstrates care for students by establishing connections and relationships throughout the course. Students shared, Professor Sharp begins each class with a positive affirmation to inspire and motivate us to achieve more in class. She is what Chamberlain instills in their students: compassion, fairness, integrity, and humility. Professor Sharp models nursing excellence and showcases her compassion and love for the nursing profession. Nikisha Paniagua from the Sacramento campus. Professor Paniagua showcases care and compassion in her role as a faculty member. She is confident, and it shows in her ability to make every student feel comfortable. She makes herself available in both the classroom and clinical setting, and she takes the time to adjust her teaching method to each student's need. One student shared, I believe that many nursing students refused to give up during COVID and stayed in this field because of nurses like her. Stacy Harvey from the San Antonio campus. Professor Harvey consistently demonstrates care for students and motivates them to strive to be the best. Professor Harvey treats students with respect and remains positive and professional, even in difficult situations. One student shared, she is the best role model for what I aspire to be as a nurse. She is the best instructor I've had thus far. Her teaching methods are executed in a way that all learners can understand. Dr. Amber Nordike from the St. Louis campus. Dr. Nordike demonstrates care for students by ensuring an inclusive learning environment. She constantly provides course resources to support student learning. She goes above and beyond to make time for students to help them understand complex concepts. Whether using different teaching methods so that all learners can achieve success, or encouraging and answering questions, Dr. Nordike is constantly supportive and working towards her students' achievements. Michelle Miller from the Tinley Park campus. Professor Miller is a leader amongst her peers and demonstrates the teach and care values in all that she does. She uses her nursing role and embodies the ideas into a teacher role and adapts to her students to provide an engaging experience. Professor Miller shows students that she genuinely wants them to succeed and has even served as a student advocate by proactively addressing perceived concerns with new platform rollouts. It is evident that Professor Miller truly cares for her students. Dr. Christa Cleveland from the Troy campus. Professor Cleveland demonstrates Chamberlain care for students. Her enthusiasm for teaching, learning, and nursing has inspired and motivated students at the Troy campus. Professor Cleveland displays patience and creates an inclusive learning environment to ensure all students understand the material. One student shared, "Professor Cleveland makes you feel like you can do anything." E.B. Keller from the Tysons Corner campus. Professor Keller embodies the teach values in every aspect. He goes above and beyond to get to know his students and works to identify what they may need to help them succeed individually. Students have shared, "Professor Keller is the exact type of nurse I would like to be," and his vast experience and expertise is highly apparent. Thank you for joining me today for this prestigious event in honor of Chamberlain University faculty who are being recognized with a Daisy Award. The Daisy Foundation's work is central to our mission at Chamberlain: extraordinary faculty preparing extraordinary students. The foundation honors the nursing profession globally across 4,500 healthcare institutions and nursing schools in 29 countries around the world. Their aims are simple and so profound at the same time. The foundation recognizes faculty who care for students and support them in the way we would all want our nurses to care for our loved ones, with compassion. This honor is especially meaningful given the recent challenges of teaching nursing students in the midst of a global pandemic. The Daisy Foundation recognizes this and wishes to call out those who are instilling compassion during this profoundly impactful time in preparing the next generation of nurses. Congratulations to each of today's recipients on being named a Daisy Nurse Educator. Your university acknowledges you this day as the example of all we aspire to be. We are proud of you and are thankful for the impact you have on Chamberlain University's students.